For normal chapters, I make a review. Then if anything is interesting in a chapter, then I make a discussion after the fact, around the content in that chapter. For certain chapters, I think an analysis is needed, and I think this is one of those chapters. Sometimes I can't get into things that I want to get into because I want to show it, but then showing things early from the chapter is dangerous because of Shueisha. It's a lot less dangerous once the official chapter is out. So therefore, because there were a lot of things I didn't touch on in my chapter review, I feel like it's best to do an analysis of the chapter and going through certain things that I wanted to delve deeper into. Without further ado, we're going to dive deeper into chapter 965, the Kurozumi clan's plot, and this time we're using the Viz translation. Something I touched on briefly was Whitebeard and Oden and their ideologies, in which Whitebeard viewed Oden's country as free and Oden viewed outside of Wano as free. I think with these ideologies or these perspectives, they don't clash, but they're on opposite ends of the spectrum because they both have different motivations. I'll touch on this deeper in another video, but quickly, Oden was raised in an isolated country in Wano and he wants to go free and roam and learn more about the world. Whitebeard, he was an orphan, truly cares about people, and he wanted to build a family. And if he was in an isolated country, I'm sure he felt like he could live his days in this isolated country happier and safe. Not saying that he didn't want to be a pirate, but I can see how something like that would be enticing to Whitebeard. A country in which there's no government involvement, he was constantly running from the Marines. I understand the perspective. At the end of the chapter, we found out that Lady Toki is an Amatsuki, and the Amatsuki, they were daimyos of the Kozuki clan. So now Toki's words, it makes a lot more sense saying that she's already reached her destination because in a way she's already serving the Kozuki and Oden. So this might be part of the master plan because in a way it worked out. A lot of people were talking about Ushimaru and how he looked a lot like Zoro in the chapter, and we talked about Ushimaru before because we found out about Ushimaru in chapter 942, or we found out more about him specifically in chapter 953. It's a lot of ties there with Zoro and the Shimotsuki in regards to Ryuma, Koshiro, Enma, Wado Ichimonji, something also mentioned by Yasui before he died in chapter 942. Orochi approached the 4 remaining daimyo and asked them if they would bow before him or fight. I'm assuming this is after Oden's death and whatever he did to assume the throne. I'm thinking he turned the city and the country against Oden in some way. It was a backstab. After asking that question, because he said he used cheap tricks to steal the title away from Oden, the title of Shogun away from Oden. Right now he's the regent, he's overseeing Wano. So in some way they must have found out about the old lady or how he took control, but he got it permanently in some way. And after he asked this, every daimyo of each region, the daimyo and the citizens of each region, they took up their swords without a hint of hesitation and they went against Orochi, and that was thwarted by Kaido. So we're assuming Ushimaru died. That's the inclination based on Yasu because he said he survived, but that was not the intent, meaning that Orochi and Kaido, they took out the remaining daimyo and the citizens. There's a slight chance that Ushimaru could still be alive. Now, again, back to his connection to Zoro. One thing about the daimyo of Wano, they have distinct features. All the families, they have distinct features and hairstyles. With the Shimotsuki, we know Zoro has been tied to it for a while, starting with his conversation with Ryuma back then, where Ryuma felt like he was appropriate to assume control of Shusui. Him then getting Wado Ichimonji from Kuina, well after Kuina died, and now getting Enma, and those 2 swords are made by the same person. Shimotsuki Kozaburo, and he left Wano 50 years ago. So there's an intense storyline building with Zoro and his connection to the Shimotsuki. I'm not ready to write it off yet because of how much he looks like the Shimotsuki based on the features that were shown later in the chapter. So for right now, I think there's a slight chance that Zoro is connected to Shimotsuki. I'm not sure if Ushimaru is Zoro's dad. In some way, Zoro made it from Wano to East Blue, and I'm not sure if Shimotsuki Ushimaru saw this coming and then got Zoro out of Wano before the uprising happened. It's hard to say because Zoro at this point, he's 21. We just gotta wait and see. In that same meeting with Sukiyaki and the daimyos, Oda makes a point not to show the distinct features of the other daimyo. We see the 2 Shimotsukis, Yasui and Ushimaru. Based on the features shown at the end of the chapter, towards the end of the chapter, I'm going to assume the guy to Yasui's right is the Amatsuki, and then to Ushimaru's left, the Fugetsu. While we're on these families, looking at these silhouettes, I came to several conclusions, right? One of these conclusions, again, the Shimotsuki, they have distinct features and hairstyles, which is shown by Ushimaru. The Kurozumi, they do as well, looking at the silhouette that looks just like Orochi. The Uzuki, they have distinct hairstyles as well and features, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Izo and Okiku, they're Uzukis. We know that Kiko and Izo, they're the sons of the Hana Yanagi dance master, but they said that their father was arrested and their family was split apart. Again, I'm going off the features of the silhouette, and Izo specifically has the look of the Uzuki, and let's say their dad dad was not the Daimyo, but being the brother or sibling of the Daimyo with the last name, if they were set up by Orochi and the granny, that old lady, then therefore they were cast out, lost all their power, everything. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Izo and Okiku, they're from the Uzuki clan. And then that ties in as well with everything coming together, because at the end of the day, with Toki serving Oden and she's a Amatsuki, it would make sense if Izo and Kikunojo, they're serving Oden because they're Uzuki, right? It all ties in there. The Fugetsu is a bit more unclear. I'm not sure if that ties into Kanjuro, but we'll see. But to the Amatsuki, again, something that I noticed based on this chapter, and that's if my assumption is right, that the Amatsuki, again, having distinct hairstyles and having pronounced features, they have pretty longer faces and then signature buns, right? Something else that showed up in this chapter is the Mane Mane no Mi, and that's Mr. 2's devil fruit. So Bentham of the Wild, Mr. 2, Bon Clay, Bon Kure, the former Baroque Works agent, he has a distinct style. Of course, he is an Okama, and his entire getup is about swans, and his hairstyle somewhat matches with the silhouette that we see in the chapter. Now, I'm not saying Bon Clay is definitely an Amatsuki, but his devil fruit showing up in the same chapter in which the silhouette looks really similar to Bon Clay's entire getup. And when you look at the Kazuki symbol and then you look at Bon Clay, he could be making a play off of that entire symbol. Again, all this isn't set in stone. I just thought it was interesting that all these things are lining up at the same time. Now, we know back then the old lady, she had the fruit. Now, how we would get to Bon Clay, that's anybody's guess, but if Bon Clay is definitely an Amatsuki from Wano, it would make a lot more sense that after she dies, the fruit reappeared somewhere in Wano and Bon Clay was able to eat it, etc. It's several theories out there, but I just thought it's something that we should probably be mindful of because we don't know Bon Clay's last name. And I think with Wano, look at Izo being a part of Whitebeard's ship, really had an interesting theme, and now we know Izo is definitely from Wano. So again, those are observations that I have. I'm not saying these things are definite, but they're just things I've noticed and observed, right? Now, to the old lady, I think her entire speech and everything she talked about was really interesting. Again, it's similar to Doflamingo in his speech at Marineford, so I really enjoyed that. First off, the fruit she placed in front of Orochi. In my review, I said I was skeptical as to whether or not it was a devil fruit or a regular fruit. I'm still on the fence about it. It looks like a regular fruit. Again, every devil fruit we see, and then Oda's released some new images of devil fruits, and they all have these specific swirls. I'm going to leave it open for mythical Zoan fruits. We don't know what any of those look like, so this could be a mythical Zoan fruit and it might not have those signature swirls, so it's not set in stone. I think it could really go either way, but just want to caution you guys and put that out there. Another thing is the fact that she transformed into a younger Shiki. The Mane Mane fruit, based on how Bentham used it, he can transform into somebody he's physically touched, and he can take on their form by doing so. The old lady, she transformed into what we're presuming to be a young Shiki. That was extremely random. Not sure why that was even there and why she did that, but I think it's a tell. And of course, this would be a younger Shiki because this was 26 years ago. Who is she? I saw a lot of people saying that she could be Cypher Pole and the government, they're trying to corrupt Wano by having someone like Orochi be in charge, but I don't know about that. I just don't see the benefit of Orochi being there. Yes, Orochi is currently working with the world government and selling weapons, and we know Wano was flooded with treasure, and not just gold and monetary gain, things like that, sea stone, white gold. There are different things out there that the world government would want from Wano, so maybe they would want someone like Orochi to be in charge because they know of Orochi's greed. But again, this is a lot of speculation. I don't necessarily hate Orochi because I think there's something interesting about him, the fact that he managed to get to where he is through sinister means. While that is underhanded, I think it should be commended because in One Piece, typically power, right? Overwhelming strength and influence that gets you to the top. We have specific instances where people used people close to them and achieved power in their own way, i.e. Blackbeard and Orochi. At some point I'll make a video about these two, but I think it's a bit too soon. We just have to find out a bit more about what Orochi did, but there's something intriguing about how he rose to the top. Now with him, he had a lot of help with this older lady who was vindictive against the Kozuki. It does make you think though whether or not Blackbeard had help when he was younger, so that's something to ponder. The Roger and Rayleigh and Oden and Whitebeard stuff, I'll probably make a separate video for that because I think it's a lot I want to get into there, and this video probably has gone on long enough, but those are my thoughts. Those are things I've thought about after rereading the chapter several times, going back, looking at different things. I could be proven wrong next chapter with the Uzuki, Amatsuki, all this different stuff, but I thought this chapter was very rich, very interesting, a lot of lore stuff, a lot of things to talk about, and we'll see what 966 holds. But guys, give me your thoughts. What do you think about all this? I know I said a lot today, but leave your thoughts below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Your support means a lot. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.